stuff on the road.
Mushrooms, dude. There was so much fungus in that van.
So it's the Radio X Evening Show with me, George Godfrey, and tonight I'm ecstatic to say we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Grohl's on the show, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well, Dave. How are you? How's life?
It's good. It's good today. I woke up early, got up before the sun, made a little coffee, walked my cat.
Walked your cat? Is that a thing?
I walked a cat. We got a new cat, but with where I live, you can't really have cats roaming around because I'm sort of up in the hills and there's coyotes everywhere. So I walk this cat on a leash. And I've never walked a cat on a cats don't like leashes.
How's that experience?
It's a Bengal cat.
Yeah.
So it's basically a wild cat, and it hates the leash, and I hate walking it. So I don't know what to do.
I mean, that's some image, but hey, I mean, it's 2020. Anything can happen these days, right?
It's been a weird week.
It certainly has. But it's been a good week as well because there's new music from Foo Fighters, and I'm so excited to be playing it on the show tonight. Dave, this song, Shame, Shame, talk me through it. What did you want to say with this one?
Well, when we were making this record, before we started making this record, we thought about it for a while. We're like, okay, it's our 10th record. We've been a band for 25 years. What do we do? We either make like a crazy experimental psych rock record, or do we do like the mellow acoustic thing that we've done before? And we just started thinking about all the albums that we grew up loving, and a lot of them were these sort of groovy, kind of danceable rock records, David Bowie records and Power Station records, Rolling Stones records. And that was territory that we'd never really explored before. So when the first song we recorded when we started this album a year ago was a song called Making a Fire. And it kind of had this like old Sly and the Family Stone sort of groove to it with big guitars and big choruses and stuff like that. We started moving in that territory. We recorded a few things that sounded like instantly recognizable as Foo Fighters songs. And then we recorded the song Shame, Shame. And it started with this drum beat and this weird overdub with like snapping and clapping and stuff. And put on the guitar, put on the bass, put the vocals on. By the end of the day, we had the song. And I'm like, and it was unlike anything we'd ever done. And, having been a band for so long, that's what makes you excited. And That's what keeps you going. And that's what, inspires you to keep moving in those directions. So after recording the whole record, this song really stands out on the record. It doesn't sound like the rest of the record. But I thought it was cool because it's interesting and it's different than anything we'd ever done. I thought this is a nice way to introduce people to like the next 25 years of our band. Like if we're going to keep doing this, which we want to, we have to be able to change and evolve. And it was just so catchy to me. And there were parts of it that reminded me of all of these albums and artists that I grew up being inspired by. So we thought, this is a good place to start. And then we start rolling out the other songs, and you'll realize the diversity in the record. And there's fast, heavy songs, and there's big songs that you bounce around to. But this one definitely, this one stood out, so we wanted to start here.
Well, one of the things that I love about it, especially as kind of an introduction to this new era for you guys, is that it really feels like it's building somewhere. Like that groove's constantly moving along. Is that the plan? Is it going to go into the next song? Is it flowing in?
Well, it's the second song on the record. And so after the first song is really like a big bang. And then it sort of dips down into this song. And then after this, it just starts getting like bigger and groovier, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I'm listening to Foo Fighters, right?
Yeah. Now, I did want to ask, off the back of the title of this one, when was the last time that you felt an enormous sort of sense of shame?
Well, okay, so here's the crazy thing. So the video for this song is going to come out in a matter of hours. I'm not sure, like pretty soon. But the video for this song was inspired by a dream I had when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
So when I was like 14 or 15, I had this dream that I was standing at the bottom of this hill, and there was a coffin on fire at the top of the hill next to this dead tree. So I go running up to the coffin, and I'm like trying to open it to save whoever's in it, and I'm burning my hands, and but I had lived with this dream my entire life. And then finally, when I wrote the song, I'm like, oh my God, I think I finally wrote a song about this dream that I had when I was 14. So we put those things together and made this incredibly beautiful video it's really dark, you know.
Right.
That's another thing that we haven't really done before, is open up our album with something really heavy and dark. But I mean, you know, one of the things is it's a really universal emotion. Like everyone's felt it at some point in their life. And so those two things put together really, I don't know, it turned into something really powerful and heavy. And I can't wait for you to see it. It was directed by this woman, Paula Kadacki, who's a fashion photographer. She's a genius. She'd never made a rock video before. And we called this actress named Sofia Boutella to be in the video with us, with me. And so it's just me and her, and I'm like carrying her up the hill. She's on my back. She's climbing all over me. And she's an accomplished dancer too. So she's just like a contortionist. But I can't wait for you to see it. It's really good.
Can we expect any moves from you then?
Dancing?
Yeah.
That would be career suicide. But we don't want that. I mean, it's weird enough that we've made an album that you can actually dance to.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to see me doing it. No.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Dave, here in the UK, we're back into lockdown 2.0 now. And I did want to ask, how did you find the experience where you are?
Well, you know, when everything first shut down here in March, I was nervous because I'm a creatively restless person. And I'm just so used to working with the band like every day for the past 2 decades. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not doing something band related. So when it all stopped, it really kind of freaked me out. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I started writing, not music. I just started writing stories, true stories, short stories from over the years. And it was nice. I mean, also, you know, I think when everything happened, when everything shut down, people started turning inward and started thinking more about like what's important to them and the things they took for granted, things like family, things like that. Like you just start going kind of inward because you're stuck inside. But there's no such thing as normal right now. So you have to like create a new normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for everybody's creative muscles, you know, just to think of things to do to make you feel happiness or joy or alive or whatever it is. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to put this record out. It's like, we can't go on tour right now. We're not going to be playing those big festivals or stadiums right now. But the way we bring joy is by giving our music to the people and letting them bounce around their kitchen on a Saturday night with a bottle of wine. Like if that's what it's going to be, that's what we got to be, because that's what we're supposed to do.
That's what we're heading
So
to.
I'd say dance in your kitchen with a bottle of wine. That's, I think, what you're supposed to do right now.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned there that you started writing, and you did do a little mention to Dave's True Stories, and I was loving those, man. Particularly the one where you almost blew up your home street with some fireworks. But I did want to ask a little question about the one where you David Bowie told you to F off. What happened there?
Well, basically, we had met before, and we'd actually recorded together before, and he was the loveliest person. I mean, he really was like a gentleman and funny and smart and handsome and beautiful and brilliant. And he was just the coolest person on earth.
Yeah.
And there was I was approached to do the soundtrack for a film, or just do a song for a film. And they wanted it just to be me. They didn't want it to be the Foo Fighters. And I felt kind of weird about that. So I thought, well, maybe I'll have somebody else sing it. And I had just recorded an album for somebody else with David Bowie's longtime producer, Tony Visconti. So I thought, maybe I'll contact Tony, see if David would like to do it. And I got David's email. I sent him a demo of this song. A long time went by, a couple weeks. And then he emailed back and he said, I listened to this song. I heard about the movie. He said, you know, this genre film's not really my thing. I'd love to collaborate sometime, but I don't think this is the time. He said, I hope you're well, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was the nicest email. And so it very briefly, I just emailed back. I said, all right, man, I hope you're good. Take care. And then a minute later, I got an email that said, well, that's settled then. Now F off. And I'm like, oh my God. So I immediately emailed back and I'm like, I said, okay, I guess I'll see you in another 10 years, because I hadn't seen him in 10 years.
Yeah.
And he immediately emailed back and said, not if I see you first. And I'm like, oh my God. I couldn't tell if he was joking or he was kidding. But we used to have these little email exchanges where he was just so funny. I mean, he's quick, he's smart. He comes back fast. And I love that about him because, as much as the world sort of saw him as, this man from outer space, he really was a very funny, generous and genuine human being, So, but for a minute there, I was terrified. I'm like, oh my God, my hero's telling me to F off. What do I do?
Dave Grohl's with me tonight. We've got the new tune, Shame, Shame. Foo Fighters are back. And Dave, we're celebrating 25 years of the Foo Fighters this year. And there was going to be the Back in the Van tour. That's been cancelled for the time being. But I'd wanted to ask, what's the worst thing you've ever seen happen in the tour van?
Oh my God, dude. I mean, years and years and years and years and years of those stories. I mean, here's the most disgusting thing.
Go on.
The first Foo Fighters tour, we did in this Dodge van. It was a red 15-passenger Dodge van. We had all the equipment in it. We had all the guys in it. Everybody slept in it. We still have it. It's still in the parking lot of my studio. And there was usually when you walk off stage, you're soaking wet. And I took off my shirt and I threw it in the back of the van. The platform that we had built in the back of the van was made of wood. We would put all the gear under the platform and we would sleep on top of it. It was like 1995. We brought the van home from tour, got all the gear out of the back, and I looked and that T-shirt that I'd thrown in there was still in there. It'd been there for like a month. And it was resting against this wooden beam on the platform. And I picked up the T-shirt and I looked under it and mushrooms were growing on the beam.
I mean, it comes with experience, I guess, life on the
mushrooms, dude. There was so much fungus in that van. Mushrooms were growing in the van, unbeknownst to us. We were like driving around playing rock shows, and there's mushrooms in our van.
The question is, what happened to that shirt?
I probably put it in the dryer and put it back on again.
It was worn that night. Shirt. Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. It is our record of the week, Shame, Shame, and here's to another 25 years of the Foo Fighters, man.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you soon, I hope.
Radio X.